Today we're going to be covering 2.5 complementary and supplementary angles. Our learning target today is I can solve problems dealing with supplementary and complementary angles. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's our warm-up. You can go ahead and pause the video if you'd like and try this one out on your own. If you get stuck at any time, you can go ahead and start the video up and you'll be able to see us go through this one. So for this one, I see that we have angle 1 is equal to x squared plus 3y degrees, angle 2 is equal to 20y plus 3, and angle 3 is equal to 3y plus 4x. Looking at our diagram, I can also see that angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary angles. They are a linear pair. So I can say angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 180 degrees. They form a straight line. I can also say that angle 2 plus angle 3 are equal to 180 degrees as well. Same reasoning. They form a straight line. Therefore, they form a linear pair. So these two are congruent not congruent, but supplementary as well. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and substitute in x squared plus 3y for angle 1. And I'm going to substitute 20y plus 3 for angle 2. And then for my second equation, I'll do the same thing. Just substitute in 20y plus 3 degrees for angle 2 plus 3y plus 4x for angle 3, and that's still equal to 180 degrees. At this point, we're going to go ahead and simplify both of these equations. So I'm going to combine all my like terms and simplify as much as I can. So for our red equation, we get x squared plus 23y equals 177. So I just subtracted this 3 from both sides to get me 177. 3y plus 20y gave me 23y, and x squared I just brought down. For the blue equation, we have 4x plus 23y equals 177. Same thing, I combine the 20y and the 3y to give me 23y. The 3 went over to the other side by subtraction, the subtraction property of equality, and I just brought down the 4x. Now from here, they both have two different variables. They have the variable x and y in both equations. So I'm going to have to use elimination or substitution in order to find out what these variables are. So I'm going to bring over my blue equation. So I have 4x plus 23y equals 177. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to eliminate. I'm going to eliminate my y's. So since they're the same number already, I can just subtract straight down. So this will give me x squared minus 4x. The 23y's will cancel. The 177's will cancel. So that's equal to 0. Now from here, at this point, we're going to go ahead and look for anything that we can factor out. And looking at this, I can see that they both have an x, so I can go ahead and factor an x out. So I'm left with x, and then my bubble equals 0. So x squared divided by x will leave me with x. Negative 4x divided by x will leave me with negative 4. So I now have x times x minus 4 equals 0. And if I want to check and see if I factored right, I can just distribute through. I should end up with what we began with up here. And that's how I can tell if I factored correctly. Now at this point, I can set up my two equations. If it's outside the parentheses, it gets its own equation, so x equals 0. If it's inside the parentheses, it'll get its own equation. So x minus 4 equals 0. So I can see that x is equal to 0, and also x is equal to positive 4. Now at this point, we're going to go ahead and plug in both of these values. So I'm going to plug it into our blue equation up here, one of our originals. And the reason I'm choosing the blue equation is so that I don't need to deal with x squared. So I'm just going to plug in both of these. So if x equals 0, let's go ahead and start with that. We have 4 times 0 plus 23y equals 177. I subtract, 4 times 0 will just give me 0. So I can divide both sides by 23. I'll be left with y is equal to 177 over 23. Because again, this just disappears. Anything times 0 is 0. So y is equal to 177 over 23 is one of my answers. And if x equals 4, then I have 4 times 4 plus 23y equals 177. So it'll give me 16 plus 23y equals 177. 23y equals 161. Therefore, y is equal to 161 over 23. So again, we have the answers for x as 0 and 4. The answers for y as 177 over 23, and 161 over 23. So those are our answers. Here it is written again, a little bit more color coordinated for you guys. So if you'd like to just pause the video and check your answer with this and make sure that you can see where everything's coming from, please feel free to do so. All right, next up, go ahead and try this one out on your own. Do the same type of thing. And this time we're trying to find the measure of angle DFE. If you get stuck at all, you can go ahead and start the video and then you'll be able to see how to get to where we're going. All right, so for this one, first off, I can see that BF is perpendicular to DF. So I know that this is going to create a 90-degree angle. Two lines that intersect perpendicularly intersect at 90 degrees. I also see that AFE is a straight line, meaning it's equal to 180 degrees total up here. So all this is equal to 180 degrees. Now, this will give me 2x plus 3y equals 90 from this perpendicular that we already talked about. But as for my other two angles, this y and this 4x, well, I've already used 90 degrees. How much do I have left? Well, I have another 90 degrees. So I can say 4x plus y equals 90 degrees as well. And the reason that we can say that, again, is because there's 180 degrees total. We already used 90 because they're perpendicular to each other, so that leaves 90 remaining. Now, at this point, I go ahead and I solve my red equation for the variable y. So I subtract 4x from both sides, which gives me y equals 90 minus 4x. I can then substitute whatever y is equal to, so this 90 minus 4x, I can substitute it into my other equation for the variable y, because that's what y is equal to. So I now have 2x plus 3 multiplied by 90 minus 4x equals 90. Distributing my 3 through the parentheses, I get 2x plus 270 minus 12x equals 90. Combining like terms, 2x minus 12x gives me negative 10x. I subtract 270 from both sides, giving me negative 180. And therefore I have negative 10x equals negative 180. Dividing both sides by negative 10, we get x is equal to 18. Now remember, we're trying to find the measure of angle DFE. And DFE is equal to 4x. So do I even need to solve for the variable y? Well, no, because I only needed x to find this measure. So I go ahead and I take 18, I substitute it in for the variable x within the measure of angle DFE. And so I have the measure of angle DFE is equal to 4x, measure of angle DFE is equal to 4 times 18. Therefore, that angle measure is 72 degrees. So that is our final answer. All right. So, with today's lesson, since we are covering complementary and supplementary angles, some of these definitions you guys have seen already, and so you don't need to write them again if you already know these definitions. Only write them if you don't know them. I don't want you guys spending your whole time writing stuff that you already know or stuff that you already wrote down. So keep that in mind as we go through today's lesson, and pause the video as you need to if you need to write anything down. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First off, we have the definition of complementary angles. Complementary angles are just two angles who have a sum of 90 degrees, meaning they create a right angle. Each of the two angles is called the complement of the other. So therefore, if I see two angles that can add to be 90 degrees, they're going to be complements of one another. So I can see angle A is 40 and angle B is 50. If I combine angle A plus angle B, 50 plus 40 will give me 90 degrees. Therefore, we can say angle A and angle B are complementary angles, because again, they add to be 90 degrees. Next up, I'm going to show you some examples of this. So on the left here, we can see this triangle CDE, and it says angle C is complementary to angle E, and we can see that because adding them together will give us 90 degrees. Now that means that angle D must be a right angle as well, because there's 180 degrees in a triangle. If I already used 90 between angle C and angle E, that means I have 90 remaining for angle D. Similarly, over on this diagram on the far right, we see that we have 63 degrees in 40 minutes, 26 degrees in 20 minutes. So we can go ahead and do that same process over here. So if I want to see if they'll add to be 90, I go ahead and I start on the far right side and I move leftward. So I'm going to add my minutes first. 40 minutes plus 20 minutes will give me 60 minutes. I know that 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. So I can go ahead and take that 60 minutes and get rid of it, and it will give me 1 extra degree. I also can see that 63 degrees plus 26 degrees will give me 89 degrees. Well, that 89 degrees plus that 1 extra degree from the 60 minutes will give me a total of 90 degrees. So we can see that they are indeed complements of one another. They add to be 90 degrees. All right, next up we're going to talk about supplementary angles. Same type of thing. If you know it, you don't need to write it down again. So supplementary angles are two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. They create a straight line or a straight angle. And we call supplements of one another. We call these angles supplements of one another. So if I have two angles that are supplementary, they are called supplements of one another. So you can see that down here with angle J and angle K. Combining these two angles together, 130 plus 50 will give us 180 degrees. Similarly over here in this trapezoid, I can see angle M plus angle R is equal to 180 degrees. That's 70 plus 110. In fact, I know that these are going to be supplementary because if we look at their relationship, well, if I draw these lines here, line segment MR is my transversal, meanwhile RP will be parallel to MO. So these are same side interior angles. And we know anything same side is going to be supplementary. So therefore, these two angles should be supplementary based upon the fact that they are, if they are parallel lines, they are same side interior angles. So we're going to notice these patterns down the road. This is something that we'll be talking about over the next couple weeks. So just keep that in mind. We can also be like, oh, if these angles are supplementary, these lines are going to be parallel. All right, so go ahead, take a second, and determine whether these two angles are supplementary. You can pause the video and try this one out, and then we'll go through it together. All right, so looking at this one, if I add these angles together, 131 degrees, 27 minutes and 48 seconds, plus 48 degrees, 32 minutes and 12 seconds. I start on the far right side with my seconds, and I add them together. 48 plus 12 will give me 60 seconds. Well, I know that 60 seconds can be converted to 1 minute. So I go ahead and do that conversion. I get rid of my seconds, I add an additional minute. Now I have 27 plus 32 minutes. That will give me 59 minutes total. Well, I still have that 1 extra minute. So 59 plus 1 will give me a total of 60 minutes down here. I also know that 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes. So I get rid of my 60 minutes and I add on 1 extra degree. Lastly, 131 plus 48 gave me 179. 179 plus 1 will give me 180 degrees total, which shows that these two angles are supplementary since they add to be 180 degrees combined. All right, now we have a short little proof example. You guys don't need to write down this proof, but just pay attention to the conditional statement because it's something that you guys can do in your proofs going forward. So, given angle TVK, this angle right here is 90 degrees. It's a right angle. And angle 1 is complementary to angle 2, meaning if I combine these two angles, they'll equal 90 degrees. Well, my first statement should be angle TVK is a right angle. That's given to me. Statement 2 is what we're trying to prove. Angle 1 is complementary to angle 2. And my conditional statement, this is what I want you guys to focus on. If the sum of two angles is a right angle, they are complementary. Again, that's all you need to know for these proofs. This is a nice little shortcut for you guys. Now, what if it said if the sum of two angles is a straight angle? They would be blank. Well, if it's a straight angle, they create 180 degrees, right? So it would be supplementary in that case. So you guys can use this type of conditional statements for your complementary and supplementary angles within your proofs. And in fact, this is a definition. So if two angles are complementary, then their sum is 90 degrees, or they create a right angle. And we can also work backwards from that. If the sum of two angles is a right angle, they are complementary. So that's one of the ones that you can use the converse of as well because it's a definition, and definitions can always be written backwards. All right, now let's go ahead and get into some of the more difficult questions for today. So our first one is this. The measure of one of two complementary angles is 3 greater than twice the measure of the other. So first off, they're telling me that I have complementary angles. And I know complementary angles add to be 90, so I can say angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90. I don't know what these measurements are. I don't know what these angles are. I just know that combining those two complementary angles will always equal 90 degrees. Now from here, I'm going to look for key math words, such as the word is. I know is means equals. So one of my angles, I'll say it's angle 1. One of my angles is 3 greater, so that'd be a plus 3, than twice the measure of the other angle. So twice the measure of the other angle. Well, twice means I'm multiplying by 2. So I'm multiplying my other angle by 2. It would be 2 times angle 2. So these are my two equations, and I'll go ahead and rewrite them. Angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90 degrees, and angle 1 is equal to 2 times the measure of angle 2 plus 3. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and replace some of these angles with variables. So I'm going to call angle 1 x, I'm going to call angle 2 y. So I have x plus y equals 90, and I also have x is equal to 2y plus 3. So I'll go ahead and rewrite those. X plus y equals 90, and then x is equal to 2y plus 3. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and substitute what x is equal to into my other equation for the variable x. So I now have 2y plus 3 plus y equals 90. We can solve here. This will give me 3y plus 3 equals 90. 3y equals 87. Therefore, y is equal to 29. Now, if y is equal to 29, and I know that y is equal to the measure of angle 2, then I can say that the measure of angle 2 is equal to 29 degrees. On top of that, if these angles are complementary, meaning they add to be 90, I'm at 29, what do I need to add to 29 to get to 90? Well, we need to add 61. So 29 plus x equals 90. Subtract 29 from both sides, and we get 61 degrees. So therefore, the measure of angle 1 is 61 degrees. The measure of angle 2 is 29 degrees. So again, we can see that these angle measures match up. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to go ahead and finish writing through this work and double check and see how you did. All right, next up. Here is some important questions that we're going to go ahead and work through. We got 2 of them. And make sure that you guys take note of this because this is going to be extremely important. So the first thing that I want you guys to do is go ahead and pause the video, write down these pictures down below, and label them as angle, complement, and supplement. All right, now that you've labeled those, it's very important that we realize what's going on. If I have any random angle, then the complement of that angle would be 90 minus x. Because the reason for that is that if I add these two angles and I say that they're complements, I have x plus 90 minus x equals what? Well, the x's would cancel and I'd be left with 90. Same with the angle and 100 in the supplement. If I add these two together, I'll get 180. So as we can see, it's just saying, okay, these two are complements and these two are supplements. That's all we're showing here. Now, anytime that we see the word complement in our paragraph, we're going to replace it with 90 minus x. Anytime that we see the word supplement in our paragraph, we replace it with 180 minus x. So going through, it says the measure of the supplement, so I can do 180 minus x, of an angle is, oh, that means equals 60 less than minus 60, 3 times the measure of the complement. So 3 times 3 multiplied by the measure of the complement. Well, the complement is 90 minus x. From here, we want to find the measure of the complement. That's our end goal. So with this, we can go ahead and set up an equation. So the measure of the supplement, 180 minus x, is 3 times the complement minus 60. So here's our equation. At this point, we can go ahead and start working through this equation. So I go ahead and I start by distributing the 3 through the parentheses. So it'll give me 180 minus x, that hasn't changed, equals 270 minus 3x, minus 60. From here, I simplify the right side, so I combine the 270 and the negative 60 to give me 210. And at this point, I'll go ahead and add 3x to both sides. I'll subtract 180 from both sides. So adding 3x to negative x will give me 2x. Subtracting 180 from 210 will give me 30. So I'm left with 2x equals 30. If I divide both sides by 2, we get x is equal to 15. So that means our angle is 15 degrees. We want to find the measure of the complement. So if I have the angle, I need the complement. So our complement is just 90 minus x. Well, if x is equal to 15, we have 90 minus 15, which will give us our final answer as 75 degrees. So if our angle is 15, the complement of that angle is 75. Now again, you guys will see something like this on the test. So make sure that you're comfortable finding these keywords such as is, less than, 3 times the amount, twice the amount, triple the amount, words like that. And then anytime that you see supplement, always 180 minus x. Anytime that you see the word complement, 90 minus x. A good way to remember these, if you haven't memorized them yet, C comes before S in the alphabet. So complement comes before supplementary in the alphabet. 90 comes before 180 in numbers. So complement goes with 90, supplement goes with 180. If you haven't memorized that yet, that's a good way for you to memorize it. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our final problem. You guys are going to go ahead and do this one on your own. Pause the video, try it out, and then we'll go through it together. All right, so looking at this one, it says the supplement of an angle. Well, supplement means 180 minus x. Is equals 12 more than, so 12 more means plus 12, then twice its complement, so 2 times the complement. Find the complement of the supplement of the angle. So we want to find the complement. So we have 180 minus x is twice the complement, and the complement would be 90 minus x. Right? This is 90 minus x over here. That's what the C stands for. Whoops. Go ahead and just bring it up. So that's what the C stands for here. So 90 minus x, and then plus 12. From here, we can go ahead and we can solve for x. I'd start by distributing the 2 through the parentheses, giving me 180 minus 2x. I subtract 180 from both sides, and they cancel out completely. And then I'll add 2x to both sides, and that'll just leave me with x. So I'm left with x, and then I bring 12 down. It hasn't moved, so x is equal to 12. Now, if I'm trying to find the complement, I'm going to go ahead and take 12, and I'm going to plug it into 90 minus x. So I have 90 minus x, which is 90 minus 12, so therefore we're at 78 degrees. So the complement of that angle is 78. All right, so that should be it for our notes today. Just as a quick refresher, we have covered today supplementary and complementary angles, and our learning target was I can solve problems dealing with supplementary and complementary angles. Today, just to make sure that you guys are preparing for the test, make sure that you study these last couple problems, this one in particular, as well as the one after it. This will make you much better in terms of being prepared for the test, and also it'll work on those identifying keywords and word problem skills that always are useful. Other than that, if you guys have any questions for me on this video, please let me know. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day.